Welcome back, Rise Up Nation. We're here for another episode of Rise Up in Real Estate. And we're right in the middle of season 4, where we are talking to real live practitioners in the real estate space, people that actually do it. They sit in living rooms and they sit in cars and they sit in areas where they're talking about buying and selling real estate every single day. And today you are really lucky because I've got one of my best friends on the show, and this is going to be fun because he and I we laugh constantly. But aside from the laughter, aside from the golf stories, aside from all the Jersey Mikes we've eaten, this is just a really, really good person that's a really, really great professional. So TJ O'Brien, welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate.
Pat, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad we're getting this on video. I hope some people watch this on YouTube because you smile like you just can't stop thinking about comedy that we listen to on YouTube, can you? I mean, the smiles. TJ and I have the relationship where he sends me, like at 3 a.m, he'll send me a link to something and he'll say, "Don't listen to this in the car with your kids." And I'll like, okay, I got it. I know who this is. I know what's going on. But we're sitting right here in the middle of 2024. I mean, it's 2024. Yeah. What am I thinking? And I had to say this to start with. Congratulations so far to your Cleveland Browns.
Yes, sir. This is our year, baby. I mean, with you talk about overcoming adversity, 4 quarterbacks later, it's been a long time. So me and my 2 boys and my father, who's a big Cleveland fan, are very excited to be heading into week 1 of the playoffs.
Is this the first time Cleveland's been in the playoffs in a long time, or did you guys
2
make
years, it? Yeah, they were there not too awful long ago, but before that, it's been a tough go.
Yeah, and I remember, I think you and I were on the phone, or we were talking at lunch or something when you lost your quarterback and your running back like really early in the season, didn't you? Nick Chubb
Well, Nick Chubb, the second week he was gone, and that's a massive blow. Future Hall of Famer. And they are a classic case of dealing with adversity and trying to figure out how to overcome it. And as a fan, you see these guys go down and you go, hey, I mean, how can we recover from this? And they did. And here we are in the playoffs. And so, and we've got a good team, man. So it's gonna be interesting to see.
And he has not come back, Nick Chubb. He's not coming back this year. He's done. He was done.
He has not come back, unfortunately, no.
But he'll be back next year.
He'll be back. No, he'll be back for sure. And he, I mean, he is just, without him on the field, the game changes for sure. So we can't wait to get him back. But we've got a few weeks ahead of us here that are super exciting. And you never know, man. It's like the season starts all over again right now. So
yeah, I almost said it's a wild card who wins, but I didn't mean that. That's kind of funny. Yeah, what right. Do you guys have? You don't have Adam Randall on your team, do you? You don't have the Myrtle Beach kid.
Not yet. Not yet. I mean, I'll take that kid in a minute. I am so proud to say that he's from here, and he is such a stud. And if he ends up a Cleveland Brown, I will be very happy.
Oh, he's at Clemson. He's not in the pros.
He's at Clemson. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we just foreshadowed. Maybe he'll go from one orange team to the other.
So I love that kid.
Well, TJ, I appreciate you being on. I know you've been on Rise Up in Real Estate in the past. We're going to take a little bit of a different approach this time because I want to talk a little bit to you today about. Give me briefly, so the people that didn't hear you before, tell me your real estate story, when you started, how long you've been, and what you're doing now. And then I've got some questions I want to ask you.
Yeah, so this is year number 22 for me. 22nd year in the business. I started, my mother and father, who were school teachers, made the transition after 25 years of teaching school to get into real estate a long time ago. And big gamble for them, going from the comfort of a salary job to all commission, very scary. 3 kids at home, the whole 9 yards. So, and when they got started, their business took off pretty quickly. It was growing. I was at a point in my life where I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I was thinking I might be able to play professional golf for a living, which I got humbled very quickly on that, and I had no idea. So I went to work with my mom and dad. My sister was working there for a while, and I didn't have immediate success. It took me a long time to really figure it out, almost a year. honestly, before I really decided if I was going to keep doing this or not. And I just remember that the one thing I did like about the job was it was a people business, which can also be stressful at times, but it's also who I am, and I ended up in the right line of work. I got lucky,
Yeah. And
so and I
you
enjoy where I'm at today.
were you on her team? Was it a team situation back then?
I was. She was the leader. My father was behind the scenes, doing most of the technology stuff. My sister and I were buyer agents, um, out there running the streets, just up and down, going crazy. And you get to meet so many people doing that, and you learn so much about not only yourself when you're working those long hours and weird hours and personalities and different things that are out there. But that's how I got started. And I remember, my mother had some experience, a few years under her belt at that point, and the things that I worried about, she would tell me not to worry about, but I did anyway. I got in my own way, like we all do from time to time. And now, as I find myself a team leader, building a team here, at Remax Southern Shores, um, I can think back to her saying the same things to me that I say to, the folks on my team. So,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And so shout out to Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien. I would say Lori, and I don't even know your dad's first name. Lori
Tom,
and Tom. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have this picture of Tom. Is he a Red Sox fan?
Cleveland Indians, baby.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I've got this picture of him sitting in, I ran into him in a bookstore, and he's got his Cleveland Indians jacket on. It looks like it might have been right before they created the Cleveland Indians. Like it was, I mean, it's authentic, if nothing else. And I remember him sitting there just doing his thing. I think he walks that lake pretty regularly or something. And
He does, man. He is
shout out to them for investing in you. And I know they've been a huge part of where you are, for sure.
massive. I would not be sitting here today. Probably would not be in real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, it's funny I think about my children now, and a lot of parents and kids, and I find myself, probably would have taken the same path that they did, which was school teacher. I love to
Mhm.
coach, love kids.
Yeah.
I don't know honestly where I would be, but that's my thought. And
Yeah.
and then of course they got into real estate, showed me a different path, or get, because they can give you the opportunity. You still got to go do the work. And
Right.
but then I started to realize, what was possible.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want the listeners to focus in on something that you just explained. Like, here's a guy. Obviously, he's got people skills. He was a not a. I was just a normal human being, but he had a pretty good environment to succeed. Like your mom and dad were there doing the thing. They were probably handing you buyer leads, you and your sister. So he had a great opportunity put before him, but it was not easy. It wasn't a slam dunk. It wasn't a guarantee.
But
Even you
by no
struggled in the
means,
beginning, right? You
by no
struggled.
means. I really found that, um, I mentioned that I tried to play golf for a living, and I liken it so much to that. You show up at a golf course, everybody's trying to beat your brains in because they're there for the money, right? They're there to try to make a living. Real estate could be similar in a sense that we're all kind of working for ourselves. There's a lot of us, and you have competition, and then you start to say to yourself, like, why would somebody work with me? Like, what is it? Like, why would anyone call me?
Right.
And you got to figure that out really fast. Like, what is your deal, and what makes you tick, and how do you get folks to work with you and want to trust you?
Yeah. So those of you that are in the first, second year of real estate and just feel like you're stuck, trust me, 2023 was no picnic. I'll just be the first to tell you that if you look at any statistic, it was not an easy. I did a video this morning. There's 18 indicators that it was a bad year on the list of 20 things that they check. So if you're trying to get started in the business and you are stuck, it's not a surprise, right? I mean, you got to have resilience. You got to have confidence. You got to keep going back to the well. You can't give up. The only way to lose is to quit. We say all those things, but you just heard it from a guy who's 22 years in now that's got a robust business. I think I can say pretty confidently you live the life that you want to live because of the business that you've built. But in the beginning, it was no picnic. It was hard even for you.
It was so hard. I mean, I just remember thinking, I can remember saying to myself and to my parents, why would anyone do this? Like this is the hardest job I have ever seen. Like this should be salary or whatever.
Right,
I just
right.
made up every reason. But the things that, I mean, this is very cliche, right? But the things that are the hardest sometimes turn out to be the best. And thankfully I do live the life that I live, um, because of the people that I've had the opportunity to work with.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is no easy road. And people sometimes don't understand they're getting into that when they get into real estate. But I appreciate you sharing that story. So I want to talk about two things today, if we can. I want you to tell me, and we can do it in any order that you want, but I think that the listeners will appreciate your perspective on this. What is it that works for you? This is just your opinion. Nobody can argue with it because it's your experience, right?
Yeah.
What works for you and then what doesn't work. And you can do it. I mean, if you want to do the negative first and then get to the positive or vice versa, I'll let you just go for it. And I might ask some follow-up questions as we chat.
Well, I think if starting with what works, I think the thing for me is, even though I'm coming to you from my home office here today, I I am a guy that gets up and goes to the office and treats this like a business, like a true job. I mean, if you and I had a job that we worked for, whatever company, they would expect us to be there at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. They would expect us to be there till a certain time in the afternoon, and you don't get to ask any questions. I think in our line of work, nobody's telling us to do that. And I think for me, one thing that works is I get up, I go to the office, and I treat it like a job. I'm there the same time every day, basically. And I believe that the mornings are the time that, I think we all are best in the mornings. That's just my opinion. Even though you might tell me you're not a morning person, I still think that the day hasn't had a chance to sort of attack us yet. And I spend the mornings, well, today I have a team, so I might do it a little bit differently. But if you look at my career, I spent basically between 8 and 12 trying to figure out who's who could use my services next, who I was going to talk to, how I was going to find those people. And then I spent the afternoons for appointments. And that type of schedule is, if you stick to it, even though it is hard and it might take a very long time to produce results, it will produce results. The hard part is sticking to that. It is very difficult when you do not have a salary to get up and do the same thing every day for potentially, 6 months, 9 months. It could
Yeah.
take that long getting started. So I think for me, that's one of the things that I've always said works the best, is to treat it like a job and a true business. Um,
Let me ask you a follow-up question. Did Lori O'Brien teach you that? Did she say, "Hey, you get your tail to the office," or was that part of it for you always? You just knew that's what you needed to do.
well, I think we often as kids, we watch our parents and what they do, and a lot of times we model it, sometimes unconsciously, I think. My parents, believe me when I say work ethic was not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, back from when they were school teachers working 2 and 3 jobs, to just like most teachers unfortunately can do today, have to do, I should say. But my mother was there first thing in the morning and was there very, very late at night. My father was doing whatever needed done behind the scenes, whatever that was. And so I just sort of, I think I just saw that. And I thought, well, must be, it's working for them.
Yeah.
And it worked, you
It's
know.
it's interesting that you say those things because when I'm interviewing, and I know you did this too in part of your career, when you interview someone who's getting into real estate, a new person, one of the first things they ask is, well, what am I gonna do like 9 to 5? What's the schedule? You're like, well, I'm hoping it's not laundry, walk the dog, catch up on third hour of today,
Yeah.
But that is how do you figure out what to do, TJ, when you go in over your career? What have you learned when you get there at 8:15, 8:30 in the morning? what's the routine?
So I would tell anyone that's listening to this that's new is go find somebody that's been in the business for 22 years and just ask them what they did, because you're going to get a variety of answers, but there will be some consistent uh, trends in there. I think that in the morning, what I did when I started was I called every expired listing that was available. If you
Okay.
were on the market and you didn't sell with your agent, I was calling you in the morning, I was calling you during the middle of the day, and I was calling you at night until I got you. Because I had to earn the business. I didn't have past clients yet, like many new folks, starting out don't. And that's really hard to watch somebody who's experienced that might have referrals coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't realize what they went through to, maybe to get to that point. And once I called all the expired listings, I would literally cold call neighborhoods. What I didn't do, and I regret, because I would advise anybody to do this today, was start with the people that knew me and I would like to think trusted me, just from our friendship from the beginning. I was afraid to call those people. Like I was afraid to tell them I was a realtor because I didn't have any experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I found is they never seemed to really care about that because they trusted me. And they said, as long as you do what we're asking and what we need and service us, then of course we'll use you. And I spent a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time avoiding that particular call.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's anywhere to start, if you're listening to this and you're new or 3 or 4 years in, make sure you let everybody know that you're a real estate agent. And if you prove your work ethic to them, I don't think anyone would ever question you.
Right.
It's the ones
You
that
can figure it
are
out.
home doing laundry, walking their dog, whatever that is. Of course, I don't want to work with that person, you
Right.
know, right? I want somebody who treats this as a true business,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's wise, very wise. So you would do those few things and you're setting appointments for the next for whatever afternoon coming after that. Like you're trying to get in front of somebody. Could be later that day, could be right then, could be scheduled
But
down the road.
when I started, I would meet you any time you wanted to meet. I don't care if it was Sunday morning at 7 o'clock or Sunday night at 9 o'clock. I would have gone. I was in a situation where I hadn't found myself yet in my work life, right? So money was tight, and that was enough hunger for me to
Right.
figure it out,
Yeah.
and did I do it the best way? If I look back, I would obviously do it a little differently, and I think that's where I might be able to guide somebody today. But spend the time on what works, and if you're willing to pick up the phone, I would highly recommend talking to the people that you know. They may not do business with you, but they might refer somebody to you because it's a warm introduction. It's not a cold call.
Yeah. Tell me how
And
that conversation would go if you were calling. Let's just say you just gotten your license. And I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but isn't that what
yeah,
we do every day? Um, what would you say to that person? Say you're calling I don't know, a past friend or a mom of a friend or whatever.
yeah. If it were you, Tad, I would say, yeah, hey, Tad, it's TJ. Whatever. I haven't talked to you in a while, whatever it might be. I just want to let you know. I don't know if you heard, but I just got my real estate license. I went to work for the number one company in our area, Remax Southern Shores, and it's important to me that you know that, and I want you to know that I'm here. I'm here to work, and if there's anything real estate related that you need, listing your home, buying a home, adding to your portfolio, if you need a roofer, if you need a lender, it doesn't have to be to buy from me. I want to be a resource because this company that I work for is a massive resource. So I'm here. And if you have anybody that you know that's thinking about buying or selling, I want to work with them too. Just want to I want to be on your radar.
And then after that's excellent. After you have that conversation, what do you do with that name and number or
Yeah,
email?
so that's a great question. So the what has really worked, or what really worked over the years, is as a general rule, if you're not buying or selling, right, as long as I'm touching the world in some way, whether it's with an email, once a month, social media, obviously today, being able to connect in that way. Um, I don't want to bombard you. I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to know that I'm here. And I want to do something to add value, whether it's tell you about a great new listing that might add to your portfolio. Hey, did you hear that rates dropped? But I believe that if you're just on a touch basis, and I love the phone. I am a big believer in calling and saying, "Hey, Ted, I hadn't talked to you in a few months, about every quarter. Um, this is what's happening
Mm-hmm.
in our
And
market."
you were on the phone when I logged on today. You were talking to somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
I
always
mean,
on
it
the
never
phone.
ends.
Every time I call you, you're on the phone. I think you're.
Yeah, but I just there's something about, and it's so old school. I see it feel like these days, and I don't know why. Is to pick up the phone, and I know a lot of people are busy, and I understand that. But if I leave you a voicemail for 3 months straight, and you don't hear from me, not every day, but just every now and then, hey, I saw your daughter graduated, congratulations. Here your son's getting married, congratulations. Whatever it might be. That's not me calling saying, Tad, are you ready to list? Are you ready to
Right.
buy? You
Right.
know, and I believe that that connection to people is a real one. It's not social media. It's not fake. It's authentic. Um, because I genuinely do love hearing about your son getting married.
Right.
I
Right.
genuinely do find that when your daughter graduates first grade, how neat that is because I've been there, and it's
Yeah.
fun. Those are big
Yeah.
moments. So anyway, just stuff like that. I think it's a matter of coming up with a good system, whatever you think is good for you. I think there's all these different things in real estate that say how many times you're supposed to sort of talk to or reach out to a person each year. Um, and whatever works for you, whatever seems to work for you is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I believe for me, I am constantly texting. I love that. With my past clients, they've become friends,
Right.
and to me, that is just, and I do use social media a lot to follow them and see what's happening in their life. Uh, I just believe the word is connection.
Yeah, I like that. You make me think of something while you're talking, and this might be humbling to some of our listeners, but do you have to like people to do this business, TJ? I mean, because sometimes people get on your nerves, like they just are a lot, but you genuinely seem to like, maybe it's just who you choose to work with, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think for me, I realize we're all different, right? We all have different political views. We have different beliefs in this and that, whatever the case might be. I believe, and this is why, and I know you did not ask me to say this. This is why I love reading, right? Because in our company that we work for, is that you use the word often good human. That person's a good human. That guy is, and you tell me that just in conversations when we're not filming it. And I love trying to figure people out. Like if you come off a little bit standoffish to me in the beginning, with this, my job is to figure out how to in my head, is to figure out how to get your arms to unfold.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's some silly game I play, but I genuinely take an interest in what's on your mind. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes with you. You might have your arms folded because you just had an argument with your wife,
Right.
or you just had a big financial loss in this property, whatever it might be. And so as I get older, I don't know that I would have had this ability to think about those things when I was younger. But if you are younger and you're listening to this, or older, whatever it is, I think that if we can all take a step back, and that first impression from somebody might be a bad one, could be a bad day, or it could be who they are, but they might still respect my approach and my um, genuine concern for selling their property or finding out who they are. And I mean, are you going to like everybody? No, I don't think that's going to happen. You do get to, you're an independent contractor. You do get to choose who you work with. I think if we start out going in with, I mean, you're a good person. Now, if you prove to me that this is just not a relationship that's going to work, or you just don't like me, or whatever, then so be it. That's life. But I think if you can when you get in a situation like that, if you try to break those walls down to the best of your ability, genuinely try to do it, not fake, then your opportunity for success goes through the roof. But more importantly, the way you feel from that victory to me is what makes it all worth it.
Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm.
money's great. Money's great for anybody, right? Everybody would add a zero to their income if they could, and whatever. But I absolutely love when I get in those situations, breaking down those walls.
Yeah. So you guys need to, when you're listening to this, you have to evaluate who you are. But I also enjoy the curiosity of it. My coach tells me just stay in curiosity as long as you can, trying to figure out where someone's coming. And this works in relationships. It works in business. It works all the way around. If you just try to find out where somebody's coming from and what motivates them, what interests them, then you'll be. But you have to ask yourself the question. I think as you get frustrated with the business, you have to be able to rely on the fact that you do like what you're doing. It has to be a passion, and it's got to be
Yeah.
related to something. Talk to me a minute about, like, you're talking to me about like what you did at the beginning to get your kind of the plane off the ground, so to speak. But I watch you now. It seems like you do the same things now. Is that true? You still coming in, making phone calls, rallying the troops? I know you're running a team now, but is that kind of the cadence now too?
My calls today are a little different. My calls today are to my database. I'm trying to come from a more of a value oriented position today. I got folks that have bought and sold, several times. I'm lucky enough that they send their family and friends to me, at this point. Um, but what I enjoy today, as I mentioned, building a team, is that I've assembled to me, I just got some just good humans, so to speak, on my team. And I enjoy them, and they're going through a lot of the growing pains that I went through. And I'm gonna, to the best of my ability, gonna try and make that easier for them.
Right,
So
right.
that, they enjoy the business. Um, and and everybody that's with me now, and this is something that I just love and will brag about uh, as much as I can, they are connectors. They genuinely like people, and they, until, maybe something happens that it's not going to
Yeah.
work. But I enjoy watching their growth.
Mm-hmm.
This was only 3 years ago I started a team. Uh, Christine Huskins, who's coming up on 3 years with me, to watch her grow has been more gratifying than anything I've done myself. And we talk about it all the time, her and I do, with where she started, and then I think it was 5 or 6 homes her first 5 months, and now 30, 40, whatever it is. And this year she'll beat that. And if you could, she is, and I've got some other wonderful people. She's just been the longest,
Right.
and if I was telling somebody this morning that her ability to connect with people, just genuine, forget real estate sales, forget anything to do with it. They want to work with her,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is probably the greatest compliment that you can receive, I think.
Right.
Because the money will come. The money will come with that. I think that to me is just a beautiful thing to watch.
That's why we talked about this morning. I think it was about the baristas at Starbucks. You know,
Right.
I mean, I've been in Starbucks where I haven't been there for months, and they say, "Hey, Tad, welcome back," and I'm like, I wear my name tag in here or what? But that is a gift, and we shout out to your whole team. It's been fun watching that develop, and I know it's allowed you to do some things with your career that you wanted to do as far as mentoring and shepherding that little flock of souls.
I got three that joined me last year. And all three of them, in my opinion, will this year will do so much more than they did last year.
Right,
And that is not immediate success.
right.
There was a lot of work in there, and a lot of time of working with people, and the deal doesn't work out, and then it just fades away.
Yeah,
That's going
yeah,
to happen.
yeah.
And people don't quite realize, if you're on the outside looking in, how much a real estate agent gets beat up. Like
Hmm.
how the market in general out there just beats an agent up, right? I've had coaches my entire life. And then I got in real estate, got real estate coaches. Now I have you guys also as support. Um, I listen to Tony Robbins constantly. Tom Ferry's coach, whatever it might be. And what I want to do now, along with producing and working with all my past clients and their referrals, because I still produce,
Hmm.
is I want to be the coach for these folks because inevitably life is gonna, the market, whatever it is, the combination of the two is gonna wear them out.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you have a weekly call with a real estate coach when you get into real estate coaching. You come off that call, you can conquer the world,
Right.
you know, conquer the world. Next thing you know, there goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Monday comes around, you're ready for that call, right? And then you go conquer the world. But that's why a coach is so important.
Yeah, I like that. Tell me, I thought of something while you were talking about your team. I want an honest answer. And of course, you'll give me honest answers regardless. Compare yourself in year one to each of your team members in year one. As you described yourself, they're way better than you were year one.
Way better, way better, way better. And I think that I give my parents total credit for dealing with me in year one. I mean, I was not an easy guy to be around. It was so hard, stressful, but they were never in real estate coaching. My parents are get it done people, right? They just
Right.
figure it out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to discover. So, you want I want my kids to be better than me. I'm sure my parents want the same thing for me, right? They
Yeah.
got me going, they got me started and taught me a lot about this business. And then you find just things that are out there, right? The Mike Ferries and the Tom Ferries of the world, or Darren Hardy's, or whoever it might be. And then you just continuously grow and try to get better. So yeah, when you look back and you go, should I go do year one all over again? Oh
Yeah.
man. I mean, these guys on my team are just they're gonna they're already rock stars. I just can't wait to see what heights come
Yeah.
from them.
I mean, the only thing that gets in the way of that happening is when somebody quits.
For
And
sure.
I'm not saying that quitting is not a viable option because it is hard sometimes, and it may feel easier to just give in. But what a great story for you to go from where you were to where you are. And I'm not saying you were in poverty stricken,
No,
like homelessness,
no.
but year one was rough to where you are now. I mean, this should give your team a lot of encouragement to say, man, what does 5 years from now look like for me if I just stay the course? I think that's good advice for all of us.
It's something to simplify that down. As I did hear Mike Ferry say one time, he said, if you increase your business 20% every year, in 5 years, your business doubles. Right? And think about that. What other line of work in 5 short years? Most businesses don't even keep their doors open for whatever those statistics are. So I mean, it's just exciting to watch and know that I can maybe play a part in that. And 5 years from now,
Yeah.
we can look back and see where we were.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, great. Thank you for sharing that. So you heard it here first, folks. Go to work. Like treat it like a job. Check in. We haven't even touched on how fun the environment is that you work in, like what goes on upstairs in the attic and how much fun all those people are. I heard about a desk moving scenario the other day where y'all were auctioning off someone's space and there's a craps table up there. So if you stay at home, you're gonna miss all that, folks. So
Right.
go to work. Now put you on the spot. Tell me in a few minutes if you could give somebody some advice, like whatever you do, don't do this. Like just don't. This does not work. In your
Yeah.
experience, something you've tried that just didn't work.
Well, I think the thing that I would this comes back to the word authenticity or authentic. There are a lot of books you can read, and a lot of things you can listen to, and you try to create this salesperson, that uh, supposedly will go out and make all this money and sell all these homes and all whatever. And and I think what I would say to somebody from the start is really try to get a handle on who you really are. It took me a while to figure this out. It's like I was trying to be too much, and I was trying to uh, say things the right way when I started, or I don't want to say sound like a salesman. I guess that's a negative term, but I think that you kind of understand what I'm saying. Versus you came to me to buy a house or sell a house or whatever it is that you need, is to do everything you can do to put yourself in that person's shoes and say, or to say to yourself, these people are trusting me with, probably the biggest decision, one of the biggest decisions of their life, right? And I hope that they will listen to me and I can authentically say to them, I'm here to help, and this is who I am. And I want them to buy into me and know that I'm gonna, and I guess what I'm saying is don't go out there and try to be this salesperson that you think you should be. Go be you. You will find your tribe, and these people will listen to you and trust you and work with you.
Yeah, and there's another thing, like I heard you say in the very beginning of this call, like you were saying to yourself, who would want to work with me? Like, why would someone choose me? And you were struggling, searching for this very thing that you're talking about now. The answer to that question is the ones that should. That's who's going to work with you. You be your
100%.
you be yourself. But this is teetering on the conversation of scarcity versus abundance. When you're just getting started, you listen to all these scriptings and all this rah rah, and you're like, I got to go get mine. And there's not an abundance of people to talk to, so you start getting discouraged. But I love what you say. I wrote it down. Just be you, and you just said that at the end. We talked about it before we got on this thing, before we got live on here. Is our belief, your belief too, I know, is you go through things in your life so that you're equipped to help, in my opinion, someone else down the road in your life. Same
Right.
thing in real estate. Like if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, be a Cleveland Browns fan. If you're a Yankees fan, or heaven forbid, talking to Mike Fiebernitz right now, if you're a Michigan fan, just be a Michigan fan. And if you like to cook, like Jeremy Blanton does, shows up that off on YouTube, it works for him. I love
Yeah.
that. So, but when you try to not be yourself, it's not going to work.
It's not going to
Is
work.
what you're saying. It's not going to work.
And I think if you can think back to a scenario, probably and even recently, whatever it is that you're doing, and somebody wasn't themselves, they were being too much,
Yeah.
and you just kind of throw your hands up in the air versus this guy's real or this girl is real. I
Right.
really like the
Right.
real. They don't even have to be like you. It's just that they're real,
Right.
and I find that so we talk about this all the time. I know when I get cold calls, when they call me,
Oh
trying
yeah.
to sell me some real estate thing or whatever it is. And they ask me questions like, how you doing today? And I'm like, I don't even know who this is, what we're talking about. There was nothing real about that call. I would rather they just get to the point of why they called. Now, you know, and then if you want to ask me that stuff later, that's fine, right? But just be real, right? Because people can read, all of us can read the fakes, all of us.
Yeah. I was lucky enough when I first started in real estate to have Ralph Teal was one of my bosses. And Ralph Teal used to always say it. I never did understand it. He said, people would, and you know how Ralph talks, like he talks real high pitched. He says, people would rather climb a tree and tell a lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth. Because
Well,
that's what people think, that's what people think that everybody wants. But, when you connect, I love that, TJ. That's be yourself, be authentic, and trust that you're people. And this is a social media lesson too. Like, are you who
100%.
you are really on social media? I mean, look at your profiles, and is that who you really are? I'm not talking about you, TJ, but hypothetical question to the whole audience here. Are you putting out who you really are? Is anybody?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think that's why social media has become what it has. I mean, you and I can look at anybody's social media profile and look at all their posts and get a pretty good idea of who that person is.
Right.
You know,
Right.
are they loud? Do they want to be heard? Or do I see pictures of your family, or a vacation? Whatever it might be, you can learn so much about just a Facebook profile. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
so yeah, and that to me is, if I could instill anything in my children, it's you go be you,
Yeah.
right? And you'll find your way. But don't do it fake. Don't fake it, because you won't enjoy that ride.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about this. And I'm not trying to elaborate too much, but if you don't do who you are, then something is getting left undone that should have been done.
Very true.
So, like for you and I in our relationship, or with anybody, that if you don't meet the need that you're here to meet, if you try to meet somebody else's, then yours is not going met, and that means there's a whole group of people that would have probably used you, that now you're off somewhere else, and you're not even going to, because you're not going to connect to those people anyway. So anyway, you hit a hot button with me, TJ. I could talk about that one for a
I
while.
know. I know.
But this is good. So how can somebody find you if they want to? Not your address, but um, where can they connect with you? Because you've said some valuable things, and I know you're such a helper. Like, you love to give back, and you're
Yep.
building a team for that reason. And I know that if anybody out there needs some assistance or coffee or whatever, how can they find you?
Well, you can always find me on my website, which is the myrtlebeachlife.com. Um, that's the way we connect, obviously, online, social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can find the TJ O'Brien team, TJ O'Brien Realtor on Instagram. And but I am available for that, Tad. I so enjoy I luckily have had so many good people helping me, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
through the years. And I do feel like, I have something that I can maybe keep you from messing up, or maybe help you enjoy the business a little bit more along the way. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
And I am here for that. I mean, that's something that I will do in a minute for anyone that wants to talk about it, because it's fun for me.
Yeah, I forgot totally to talk about TJ. I wanted to, and thank you for all of that. I wanted to emphasize this guy's been doing business, what you said, 22 years, very successful, built a team. We don't have to talk about how much you spend, but you spend a lot of money on coaching, a lot, and you spend a
Yeah.
lot of money on client parties, which I love. And you've got a big one coming up. This is like the fourth one of yours that you're
Yeah,
doing
it's
coming
huge.
up.
I mean, we're getting ready to do it here in a couple of weeks, over here at Broadway at the beach, dueling piano bar, and just it's our clients from 2023. My team and I's clients from 23, and we're just gonna not talk real estate for 2 hours and let these professional musicians entertain. Let them have a couple of drinks and whatever on us. And I think more importantly, though, is to in some way show that we appreciate. I mean, maybe it's a small way, but that we appreciate them. And this night's for you guys. We would not be doing what we do without you. And I will, for the rest of my real estate career, do this for my clients. And I'm trying to think of new and creative ways to always do it. And that's hard, but they seem to enjoy it. And so yeah, I mean, I that will be part of my real estate career forever.
Hey, that's huge, guys. If you don't pick anything else up, you need to talk to him about, because that's a big commitment. I remember the first one you did, and you told me what you spent, and that's a big risk. Like, who in the world's going to come? Is anybody going to be there? Like, are my gifts going to be silly? Am I going to say the right things? Is my creative custom song going to be the right one? But good for you that you've done that. That's a great takeaway. Probably not an accident that you're successful with repeat and referral business because of things like that you do. So thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead, TJ. Got one
The
more
only
thing.
thing I was going to say on that is I want to say this. I don't care if you have one client last year or 200 clients. It does not matter the number. If you have one client, that person trusted you to buy a home or sell a home. Invite them to your house and grill a hamburger on the back patio on your grill with them, and don't talk real estate for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just do it. If you have three, if you have five, it might seem insignificant, like this is embarrassing, or I only have one. But you know what? I think the exact opposite will happen. The exact opposite will come out of that. And that person will say, you know what? They acknowledged.
Yeah.
You know, they made good money off of me in this print, even though they helped me and I had a service,
Yeah.
that I needed. If you have one or if you have 200, do it. And then as your business grows, you'll find that I think you'll look back and go, you when I had one? I didn't do it when I had one.
Right.
I was a little bit embarrassed. I'll be honest. I was like, I don't know, this seems kind of odd. Just a few of us. I should have done it.
Yeah.
So
It's awesome.
don't be afraid.
No, don't be afraid. That's awesome. Well, TJ, you've been just like I thought you'd be. Great, great, valuable nuggets. I appreciate your time today on Rise Up in Real Estate. And we just wish you a lot of blessings. The Cleveland Browns, a lot of success. And I'm going to have to, if they win the Super Bowl, I might play this over and over and over again, just in your honor. You never know. But thanks, TJ. I appreciate you being here today.
Man, thanks for having me, Ted.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.